So pets can be helpful to people in times of crisis, but that's often when people have to relinquish their animals, unfortunately. So we have a program, I understand, called SAFE, to keep people and their pets together in the times of crisis. Why don't you tell us about SAFE and what SAFE stands for?
Well, SAFE stands for short-term accommodations for emergencies. Just wanted to get that right. And with the SAFE program, we saw a need for making sure that we can provide short-term accommodations for people who are having a particular problem. Maybe it's a case of domestic violence, maybe it's a case of a house fire or some sort of a natural disaster or a medical emergency. A situation where somebody has an animal at home and for some reason they need to find short-term housing for these animals. And in order to qualify for the SAFE program, the people need to be referred by a social service provider, and what we will do is we'll provide care for the animals for up to 30 days. Dogs are going to be housed at the Anti-Cruelty Society. Cats are going to go out to a foster home, and in order to qualify for the program, the animals must be spayed or neutered. They must be vaccinated and microchipped. If they're not, we can provide those for the people as well. For more information on the SAFE program, you can call again 312-644-8338, 312-644-8338, and we can give you all that information. That information is also up on the website, anticruelty.org.
Okay. So you said you've been at the Anti-Cruelty for about 20 years. What would you say the best part of doing community outreach and humane education is?
There's so many good parts to it. Connecting with people, hearing the stories that they have, sharing their feelings about dogs and cats, seeing children get to a point where they understand the way that their relationship with their animals is so important, explaining the bond that exists between animals and the people who care for them. But also one of the most rewarding things that I've seen over the last 20 years is the fact that when I first started, the numbers of animals coming into shelters was way up here. And now, because of all of the efforts that we've been doing as far as spaying and neutering efforts, as far as education efforts, we're seeing numbers of animals coming into shelters going way down. And that's not just at our shelter, that's at shelters all over the city. But we're also seeing numbers of animals being spayed and neutered going up. And there's a direct correlation with that. As the more animals that are getting spayed and neutered, the less animals that are going to end up showing up in shelters. So seeing a lot of these changes is what's so rewarding over time.
Excellent. It looks like we have another caller. Kathy is on the line. She's got a question about our educational films. Kathy, you're on the air.
Hi, Kathy.
Films that you were talking about.
Yes.
Can you tell me exactly how I can see those or view those?
If you're interested in seeing those, you can just give us a call, and we can lend them out to you. They're not available at stores. They're available through educational film companies. But in order to bypass all that, if you just give us a call, ask for the education department, and we would be more than happy to provide you with a copy.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thanks
a lot for calling, Kathy.
Thanks.
Okay, so what's another thing that you could tell us about? I mean, one of the more interesting things you've seen in community outreach and humane education.
One of the more interesting things, what I find very interesting is the fact that, like I said, since I've been doing this for 20 years, I think back to some of the children that I saw when they were in kindergarten when I first started. And I think about the fact that those kids that I talked to are now out of college. I mean, they probably have families of their own right now. They have animals of their own, and I like to think that some of the ways that I was able to connect with them is now being carried over into another generation, because perhaps these children have children of their own now, and they're learning about dogs and cats. I really enjoy the fact that it's been a nice continuum all the way across, and it becomes part of a real holistic approach that we have toward education, and showing that learning about dogs and cats and understanding about dogs and cats is so much more than just, like I said, feeding your dog or giving your cat water. It's explaining that bond that we share with them, and then looking at ways that this bond is sometimes exploited when we talk about abuse of animals, and we talk about how sometimes people who abuse other people will use an animal as a pawn in that abuse. So it's nice to know that we can get that information out there and get people to understand that it's all a part of the same continuum. So if we're talking about abuse, we're not just talking about animal abuse or not just human abuse, it's all abuse in general, and getting people to understand that and getting people to see that all kinds of abuse, whether it's animal directed or human directed, is wrong. The fact for them to see that it's bad is a very rewarding experience, because all of a sudden we see that there's a way to attack the problem of violence. There's a way to attack the problem of abuse from a whole variety of ways. So it's not all of these different organizations, not all these different social service departments working against each other, but everybody is working together, and everybody comes together for one common purpose. And we may be coming at that purpose in a variety of different ways, but we're all coming at the same, we're trying to get toward the same end. And I find that very rewarding when we can work with other organizations, when we can work with even other kinds of groups, whether it's violence shelters or whether it's elderly groups, those kinds of things. Everybody is all a part of the same solution.
Excellent. The whole essence of community outreach.
Exactly.
Well, that's good to know.
Exactly.
And once again, if you're curious, our information is up on the screen right now. We are located at 510 North LaSalle Street in Chicago. The phone number is 312-644-8338, and our website is anticruelty.org. So, if you could tell, someone interested in heading into community outreach and humane education with animals, if you could tell them one piece of advice, what would it be? As
far as a career?
Yeah.
One thing that is really important is that you have to like to talk to people. Sometimes that is, a lot of times people don't really even think about that because it seems so obvious. But you have to be able to really enjoy talking with people. You have to be passionate about what you're talking about, because if you don't believe it, if you don't feel it, if you don't really understand it, you're not going to be able to communicate the issues. You're not going to be able to communicate all of these different feelings to the people that you're trying to reach. So we've had people in the Humane Education Department and the Community Outreach Department who have had teaching backgrounds. We've had people who have come to us with public speaking backgrounds. We've had people who have come to us who have worked at the Anti-Cruelty Society in different departments. So it's not one particular type of a background is going to be the best to get you into into education. It's being very passionate and being very eloquent about what you would like to talk about.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like we have one more call, but it's unfortunately we're out of time for tonight. So once again, if you have questions, Jeff, about spay and neuter, just contact the number on the screen and they'll be able to direct you to the proper extension. So that is it for us tonight. Again, my name's Avril Brown. I'm from Anti-Cruelty Society. I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening on CAN TV21. You can learn more about the Anti-Cruelty Society by visiting us on the webpage at www.anticruelty.org. I'd also like to thank my guests, John Caruso and Little Miss Wolverine, for joining us this evening. So please tune in next Thursday at the same time at 5:30. We're going to be discussing our field service programs with Mike Roach, the director of our field service department.